Perfect. I'm Tessa with Mama's Geeky. Thank you both so much for taking the time.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Tessa. Hi, nice to meet you.
I love this movie so much. It's easily one of my favorites of the year. And congratulations on the awards buzz you guys are getting. It's absolutely deserved. But I'd love to know. I one of my favorite things about this is it is so chaotic. Like literally right from the beginning, you're like in it with these journalists. You're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? How are they doing this? So can you talk about Tim filming such a chaotic film, and then John, for you, what it was like, performing in such a chaotic film?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that it feels that way because that's also how we learned how it happened, right? There were so many things going on parallelly. And even today, like John and I spend a lot of time in preparation going to research as a research to go into this control rooms of today's sports broadcast and see that world. And it's also like, yeah, it struck us how many things are going on parallelly. It's only because it's organized so well that it actually the whole apparatus works. But ironically, to shoot that chaos, it needs a lot of careful preparation. It's like the opposite of a chaotic shoot is to shoot a chaos in Iran. You have to exactly know what happens at which point. So that was not easy to plan that, but we tried to happen everything as much as possible in real life, also on our set, that's coming in through these devices. But to set it up, it was complicated.
Yeah, I think just by setting that up and giving us all those resources, having the real Jim McKay, having the real footage, knowing how to call a show, and then the situation of it is chaotic by nature. So it wasn't necessarily for us having to play the chaos of it because it was just inherently that way.
Yeah.
I maybe want to add that, of course, editing also adds. So sometimes you have, of course, the advantage that you can make things a little bit tighter. So in set, maybe they were happening a little bit over a longer time, and then in editing, you can tighten it up nicely.
Yeah. I love this movie so much. I feel like I learned, like I knew about this situation. I wasn't alive then, but I knew about it. My mom had told me about it, about seeing the images on TV, but I felt like I learned so much about what actually went down. Did you guys feel like you learned in researching for this, like more about it than you knew?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
definitely.
100%. Actually, that's maybe one of the biggest lessons that I take from this project is perspective, how important perspective is in a movie, because we have a very distinctive perspective, and that allowed us to go really deep into research in that very specific field. So I learned a lot, and especially about the making of television of that time, and yeah, also my respect of people doing that has highly grown.
Yeah, I mean, I echo exactly what Tim was saying. I think that's what so many of us on the production learned. But yeah, it was really an education.
Yeah. I love that you guys used the actual footage. Was that always going to be like was that the plan from the beginning?
It was the plan, or there was a desire. I mean, we have recreated some of the footage. For example, we didn't, out of respect, we didn't want to show anyone who lost their life on that day. So we recreated some of the scenes in the Olympic Village, or scenes that we recreated with our cast, with Leonie. But what we early on knew, what we absolutely have to have, is the original footage of Jim McKay,
Mm-hmm.
the host of ABC Sports, how he walked the audience through that day with his hosting into the cameras. And this, to recreate that with an actor, would have been really difficult, I think.
Yeah. What do you guys hope that people take away from this? I feel like there's so many messages. It almost feels relevant a little bit in today's times in general, of like in terms of like social media and how much maybe we show too much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
what would you hope? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, in a way, you answered it already. No, also, what I also like what you just said about that you feel that you learn something. I think, and it's always interesting if a movie is in a very specific field, or so, that you also get like a new idea of that profession or whatever. But also, it is very much, I think we are living in such a rapidly growing media environment, right? That we don't even know yet what it means.
Yeah.
and what it means also for how we perceive world political events. And we thought, especially from today's point of view, it would be interesting to take a step back and see how a little bit more than 50 years ago, for the first time, an act of this nature was covered in live television.
John, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it makes people have conversations about that and their own consumption after they watch it, then it will be a success.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for your time. And again, congratulations on this film. It's so good. I love it. I've watched it multiple times. And every time I feel like I learned something new. So thank you guys so much for your
Thank you,
time.
Tessa. That's nice to hear. Thank you very much. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Yes, you too.